I think it's a great job by the New York Knicks, and I think people that their gut reaction is, oh my God, the Knicks screwed it up again. They're either just so conditioned to the Knicks screwing things up, or they don't understand the bigger picture that they missed the boat on.
So lay out the big picture, because I think you're right. I think most New York fans' reaction is, oh, another player doesn't want to play in New York.
Well, the reaction was, we finally hit on a draft pick, and we're trading him for expiring contracts, Dennis Smith Jr., and a couple first-round picks that won't become ours till 2021 and 2023. That's not what you traded Kristaps for. You traded Kristaps Porzingis for the ability to sign Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, for the ability to sign Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler, for the ability to sign Kevin Durant and Kimball Walker. You now cleared the books. For the first time, I'm 34 years old. For the first time in my life, the Knicks don't have a bad contract anymore. For the first time in my life, they go into free agency fully armed in a good free agency year. There have been a couple times they've had cap space, just been the wrong year. It never was the LeBron year. They have always done it a year early or a year late. And the other part of this, Canty, that I think people need to recognize is Kristaps is a question mark.
Yes.
And he's a question mark that the next game he plays, or the first game he plays next year, will come with a $30 million a year price tag. He's no longer on his rookie deal after this year. 5 years, $150. That's what the freight was going to be to keep Kristaps. He's 7'3". People use that as, well, how are you going to trade a 7'3" unicorn? I'd rather Kristaps be 6'11". Because Kristaps Porzingis is on a long list of guys that tall who have never been healthy. Other than Mark Eaton, I literally went through everyone in NBA history 7'3" or taller. Mark Eaton's the only guy to play a decade without getting hurt repeatedly. Sampson, Smith, Sabonis, Yao, Chuck Nevitt, if you remember him, Big Z. The human body is not built to be this tall. He already had a major injury. And so the Knicks clearly believe they're getting Kevin Durant. I do too. And now, Kenny, they can tell KD, hey, man, if you can convince someone to come with you, we don't got to trade any picks. We don't have to move anything. We can do it right now. I love this trade for the Knicks.
No, I'm right there with you. I love this deal for the Knicks, and we were actually talking in the production meeting before the show.
I thought you were going to be on the other side.
You thought I was going to disagree with you, but I'm absolutely right there with you. I think for the first time in a long time, this New York Knicks franchise is healthy. Healthy from the standpoint of the hierarchy being on the same page, that being Steve Mills, Scott Perry, and David Fizdale. Healthy from the point that they've got cap space. Also healthy from the point that they've got draft picks. They got 7 first-round picks over the next 5 years. So they have maximum flexibility, which means that you have a lot of options once we get to this summer, not only with the draft and seeing where their pick this year falls, but also in free agency. So you got Generation K with Kawhi, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving. You got a lot of guys out there that could be potential game changers for your franchise. So it made sense to clear out this cap space, and that's what makes this move different from what they did back in 2010. Because 2010, you only had room for one max player. They thought they were going to get LeBron James, end up being Amari Stoudemire. This year, you can sell Kevin Durant. Hey, you don't have to come and do this thing by yourself. Everybody says that Knicks jersey is the heaviest jersey in the NBA just because of the expectations that come with it and the stage that you're playing on. You can tell Kevin Durant, guess what? You can pick whatever other superstar that you want to come with you to play here. And then, of course, you do have a draft pick. So I think this is a good position for the Knicks to be in. People have to understand with this trade, they've got to view it through the lens that Kristaps Porzingis is a question mark from a couple of different angles. Number one, you don't know if he was going to re-sign with the franchise.
Correct.
Him and his brother Giannis were not sold on what James Dolan has done with this franchise. And then, of course, what you mentioned, Nick, the injury. There is no protocol for a 7'3" guy coming off of a reconstructed ACL.
Nick, I would also have to imagine that the Knicks they're not just grasping at straws in the hope that maybe Kevin Durant. You don't make a move like this, you have some semblance of an idea that there is a pathway to bringing in Kevin Durant.
I have not been, and I'm not saying this to you, I'm saying this to the people that think, some people go on TV and just say, I think it would be fun, so let me postulate this. I would not have been for 4 months saying, I think Kevin Durant's going to be a Knick if it was just a gut feeling. Of course, things change, right? And guys' minds change, right? But everything has been building towards that. You know who knew it? Draymond Green, when he flipped out on him on the sideline. That Kevin Durant was looking elsewhere. And where could he go that would be a championship would carry the most weight? How about the prestige franchise that hadn't won one in 45 years? Some of the Knicks front office was there. Scott Perry, when they drafted him in Seattle. Rich Kleiman, KD's business manager, has ties here in New York. And now the Knicks can offer Kevin Durant something no one else can. Everyone can offer Kevin Durant the max. Everyone that has cap space. The Knicks can offer him his own franchise. KD, you can pick your teammate. You can pick everything. All we have is rookie contracts, draft picks. They kept, by the way, the Zion lottery ticket, which is, it's only 14%, but it's as good a chance anybody's going to have. And you are not tied to what I would consider an incredibly risky contract. And here's the other thing about Kristaps. If Kristaps, if he stays healthy and he continues on his progression, he's an all-star. But you have to be an all-star to be worth $30 million a year. Like, I think when people say, oh, this guy's one of the 10 best, okay, I'm just going to name guys. Tell me when I name someone that Kristaps is either better than or in the young guys that has a higher ceiling than. LeBron, Giannis, Steph, KD, Anthony Davis, Harden, Kawhi, Paul George, Russ, Kyrie, Clay, Butler. We're at 12. Now to the young guys. Luka, Embiid, Simmons, Jokic, Lillard, Mitchell, Ayton. We're at 19 guys now. And I didn't even mention Karl Anthony Towns, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, like guys that are. And so the Knicks, I've been told, the Knicks tried to include Kristaps in a move for Anthony Davis. You know what the Pelicans said?
No, thank you.
Nah, we're good. that should tell you where they're at.
So what does Dallas get out of this? How is this a win for Dallas?
Well, I think Dallas gets another cornerstone piece to pair with Luka Doncic, and that's the big thing for them, right? Being able to have some building blocks that they can move forward with. So, yeah, they're taking on some contracts that aren't great contracts in Courtney Lee and Tim Hardaway Jr., but I think that this situation is good for them because they've been known to do well with international players. You know, Dirk Nowitzki was one of the guys that both Luka and KP looked up to when they were young players. And so I think that it's a good situation for the Mavs. Right now you have a 1-2 punch that you can feel good about moving forward with. So I think
assuming he's healthy.
I think the Mavs are in a position where they can continue to build. Now, it's still going to be a tough Western Conference. It's a hard road to toe. But I do like the idea of being able to pair somebody in the front court with your star in Luka Doncic in the backcourt.
All right, so there is no franchise in the league better for Kristaps than Dallas. They have obviously the greatest international player ever, or the greatest European player ever. Don't want to disrespect Akeem. In Dirk, still there. He's got Luka there. You've got a great infrastructure there, a great medical staff there. For Kristaps, I really like this. For Dallas, it is a big swing I don't know that they needed to take. And here's my point. I understand the upside, pardon me. The upside, excuse me, the upside's very clear for Dallas. It's exactly what you said. Two young, really unicorn-type players that if they grow together, you've got an MVP caliber guy in Luka and an all-NBA caliber guy in Kristaps. But you didn't need to take this risk because you have Luka. It reminds me so much of what the New Orleans Pelicans did. The New Orleans Pelicans got a generational guy in Anthony Davis. He was so good his rookie year, the next year they were like, let's win right now. Let's trade 2 lottery picks for Drew Holiday and try to win right now. And they tried to microwave it, and they never got better than pretty good. The Mavs are now in this position. They will not have real cap space until 2020. They gave away this year's draft pick to get Luka. That's smart. They don't have a pick in 2019, don't have a pick in 2021. Don't have a pick in 2023. That also means you can't trade the picks you do have because of the NBA Stepien rule. So you can't even acquire a player, include a first-round pick, till 2025. They take on toxic contracts. They're about to give this guy $30 million a year. And this is now your team. If Kristaps is healthy, if he's happy, we know how good Luka's going to be, then it's great. But if Kristaps doesn't develop, if they haven't seen him play since the ACL, nobody has. If Kristaps gets dinged again, then you have taken what I would consider the single best asset in the NBA, not named Giannis Antetokounmpo, in Luka Doncic, and you put a ceiling on the next 5 years. That is a risk I would not take. This was a move that a team that doesn't have a blue-chip prospect, I think, would make. I'm surprised Dallas did it.
Well, here's the one thing I will say to that. I think it's a gamble just because of the health of Kristaps Porzingis. The most games he played in was his rookie year. He played in 72. Since then, it's declined 66, 48, hadn't played in the game this year. So I understand where you're coming from. My only question to you would be, how else were the Dallas Mavericks going to be able to acquire a player of this caliber?
Right.
Because you think where they're at right now, they weren't going to be bad enough to get one of those top 3 lottery picks, and you weren't going to be good enough to be considered a playoff contender. So you had to make a move if you're Mark Cuban and those guys down there in that front office. I think that this was a calculated risk. I think with the potential for Kristaps Porzingis, the reward or the player is worth the risk in that situation.
In normal cases, I would agree with you. Luka Doncic is the best player to come into the leagues. In the last 18 years, LeBron, Durant, Davis, Doncic. Wow. Those are the 4 best players to come into the league. Luka, if he's giving you 20, 6, and 5 right now. If he never improves and just does this for a decade, he's a Hall of Famer, and he's going to improve. He's a teenager. I would not give up my ability to draft players. I would not give up cap flexibility. I would say we've got the only thing that matters, an MVP caliber guy to build our team around, and we've got him locked in essentially for 8 more years. Let's not try to microwave it. Now, maybe Kristaps stays healthy and it works out great. It's an enormous risk that I wouldn't take with one of the most important players in the league.
All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.